Hello in TV land. Welcome to Machtails from the Cantina Live, episode number 67. Man, 67. We are coming up on our 5-year anniversary. We have a great show for you guys tonight because I'm going to make it rock, but my producers make it roll. We have Brother Brian Klein, Cody Mulwalker Moore, Brother Rich Brendel, Brother Matthew Rooney. I miss those show intros. I really do. It's a time thing, man. It's a time thing, and I'm out of time. That's a whole different story for a whole different show. But we have this thing. Top of the show here. Let's do this. Don't forget, you can join Mocktails on Patreon for free. The first 5 people that click the link in the YouTube description of this show. Yes, I'm not shitting you, man. You get 3 months free. Now, my producers are probably wondering what the fuck they're paying the producer level for when you guys are getting 3 months for free. Yes, I'm not giving the show away for free. I'm giving it away to the first 5 people that click that link, and that could be you. I want to give a shout out to all my Patreon supporters, but specifically all my producers, especially the ones that are joining me tonight. And you know what? For those of you that are joining us from home, Brother Todd, Suds, Sedlak, and Eddie from Miami, you guys are always in my heart. I know you guys have very busy schedules. It is time for a cheer and a beer with Brother Rich Brendel. Rich, welcome to the show. As always, we could not have a show without you with the cheer.
Hey, so when we were preparing, I had a giant head on here. It's not as big anymore, but
no. But look at that. Okay, you got about what, 2 inches? Is that 2 inches?
Yeah.
Okay, I always send you photos on the Beer Boys chat about all that fucking head that I'm getting. Yeah. It's not in the bedroom; it's in the glass. Look, yeah. I got to tell you, man, you gotta. People that are bartenders, you gotta less head because by the time it gets to consumption, I feel like I've been cheated. If you gotta pour that big at a bar in Wisconsin, Rich, one of the biggest drinking states, not city. Wisconsin is not a city.
It's a bar, man. No.
I mean, what did you do?
Like when it started, it was literally like an inch above the rim. It was pretty funny.
And we just could not go live fast enough. Hey, Brother Rich Brendel, what are you raising your glass for tonight? There's a lot to talk about on this show tonight, and I hope we have enough time to get through it in this 1 hour show.
So I am raising my glass to Kathleen Kennedy. Nothing was perfect. It's not perfect. There were some flops since Disney took over. But we also got more Star Wars, and we actually got some really amazing stuff. Got Mandalorian, Skeleton Crew. We got more Clone Wars. We got Bad Batch. We got Rogue One. We got Andor. I mean, that's just 6 things, just me thinking about it right now. And without Kathleen Kennedy taking the reins, that wouldn't have happened. I know that there's a lot of hate with her. But those people are so narrow-minded. It's like Disney and the people high up were part of the problem. Everybody has been through a job where they had to kiss the ring of the boss. Kathleen Kennedy had a boss too. And that's what she had to do. So thanks, Kathy, for leading us into a new era of Star Wars. Couldn't have done it without her. Cheers.
Cheers. That is a very controversial statement, but I welcome it, and I got to agree with that,
Oh, and this was a High Life Light.
That's why it went down so fast. Yeah. Wisconsin's finest. Well, hey, You know what? Let's bring everybody on. Brother producer Matthew Rooney, Cody Moore and Brian Klein because it is a Tuesday. You know what, Brian? It's too bad your name wasn't started with a T because we would say it's like Todd's Tuesday. Because I know this is your free night. So
I can't change it. I'm sorry. What are you gonna do?
Change your name.
There's not a day of the week that starts with B. Like you could be a Brian's brunch, and we could start the show at like 11 o'clock in the morning, kind of thing.
That's true.
It's Brian's Booze Day.
There you go.
All right, well, hey, let's get into this right away. I definitely want to get everybody's reaction from the trailer Andor season 2. I gotta set this up because I stay away from a lot of the stuff that's posted before the official StarWars.com releases it. I find myself sending stuff to Brian and Tyler and saying, is this real news or fake news? Like, I'm going to you guys to confirm if the news is real or not. And I went to YouTube because the trailer, for some reason, was not on Disney Plus. And I went to YouTube and I'm like, I told my wife, I'm like, look, there's a lot of fan-created stuff before the official trailer comes out. I said, I need to be careful not to get sucked in to something that's fake news. So I play the trailer and my wife's like, that's not real. It's not Star Wars music. And I said, yeah. And they're showing all these like testimonials, right, from Rolling Stone magazine and Variety. And it's a very unconventional thing that we have seen as Star Wars fans for a long time. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but because I was already wary and cautious of the fake news, I'm like, wait a minute. This doesn't jive with what I've seen before. And I had just watched the trailer for Andor season 1 just to kind of, reintroduce myself to the Andor trailer vibe. I got to tell you, it threw me off. The song is good. This would have been great if it was a fan-made production. It just threw me off because it wasn't Star Wars. Now, that took away from all the cool shit. Matthew and I have talked about this. Matthew's like, man, you guys are looking way too much into the music. There was a lot of great stuff. It was very distracting. I feel like I probably need to go back and watch it 4 more times. I'm going to open it up to you guys what your reaction was. I'm excited, but I was confused. I guess. I just confused that they were thinking outside the box and going against the norm. But I know Tony Gilroy has told everybody when we do a Star Wars production, everybody remove yourself from what we know Star Wars as. So I don't know if this was part of that mindset and part of that plan. Brother Brian, I know you got some knowledge on Steve Earle. We'll get to that, but first I want to get everybody's reaction to the trailer. What was your take on the trailer with its initial first watch?
I'll go ahead. I was the exact opposite of you, where as soon as I'm watching it, I hear that guitar riff, and I'm like, is this Revolution Starts Now by Steve Earle? And then all of a sudden it kicks in, and the first time I'm watching the thing, I'm watching all this and going, it doesn't really fit right, but man, it fits the tone because the song itself, it's a very anti-fascist, anti-Bush administration, evil empire type thing. So the sentiment works right, but I'm also just watching all the crap unfolding on the trailer with explosion and action and action and action. And especially in the chorus, the lead up to the chorus where he says the revolution starts, pause, now, boom, he hits the button, it explodes, him and Bix walk away. And I'm like, it's actually kind of cool, but it did throw me off a little bit with the music. But after that, it was more for me being like, I recognize the song. And then I was talking with Brad Riverdale, and he mentioned too, it's like Steve Earle's one of those guys where it's like, he doesn't license his music for anything. So maybe, Disney money comes up and says, hey, we're going to give you X amount of dollars for this because it fits the tone or the theme of the song fits the theme of the show, even if the music doesn't. But
Yes,
it's a curveball. It's got people talking about it. So
yeah, well, I think it fits the message as well. And the song is from 2004.
Yep.
So it's not like this song is very current. I know there was the Power of Two, the Acolyte song that was contemporary. That was probably written for the Acolyte. Somebody at Lucasfilm handpicked this song specifically for a reason, and maybe it was the editing department. I don't know. It does fit the message and the theme very, very well. I do have to say, somebody was complaining about the music in the trailer on Facebook, and they had said, this is what is Disney doing appealing to 20-year-olds? And I'm thinking, 20-year-olds weren't even fucking born when this song came out. So, if anything, this is appealing to like people like Brian and I's age, because Brian, you were familiar with the song, so it got you right away.
Yeah, it took me at first when I was sitting there because they're doing that intro and I just hear that opening guitar riff and going, wait a second, is this? And then it's so like, yeah, it is. And so that took me a second. I had to restart it because I was focusing so much on figuring out if that was the right song. Because I'm like, it's the Disney, it's the Star Wars thing. Is it going to be it? And then I went back after about 15 seconds and I'm like, okay, I'm going to start it over again and watch the trailer. From there, it was like mixing the two, going like, all right, bring it on. So,
Cody, what was your take on did you even pay attention to the music, or were you just sucked in by the visuals?
I mean, it kind of felt cohesive to me. I mean, I know that it was different, but I watch a lot of trailers and stuff. I kind of obsess over trailers as soon as they drop, just to see, the preview of something. So the trailer music, I know it's mostly just the editing, matching it up, and I'm gonna get to see all these scenes in their natural Star Wars feel. I feel in the show, so the music doesn't really bother me. But I was pretty excited by it.
Matthew, I know you've not complained, but you've called us out. You're like, man, you guys are talking about the music way too.
No, I just thought it was funny because like I saw the email too, like probably the same time you did, because I was at work and like I have my monitors up and Outlook, and so it popped up, and so I watched it right away. And then like I went to text you because I saw Melshi in there, and I was like gonna say your doppelganger's in the show, which we all knew that was gonna happen anyway. But then I saw your Patreon thing too in the email, and I'm like, that's what you guys are talking. Like, there's all this cool stuff in there to see, and you're talking about the music. But I mean, it's fine. I will say, I'm pretty sure Andor season 1 did have a lot of like non-Star Warsy kind of music in it. I remember the episode when they're at the, that beach resort or whatever. Like, I was joking with Tyler that it sounded like New Order music in there, and then I remember, like, maybe at the end of the first episode too, there was like this big like drum solo, like drum set solo, which is, I mean, like it was pretty unconventional for a Star Wars film anyway. So maybe it will be in there. For me, it didn't take me out, but I also I'm big into music too, but I tend not to, when I'm listening to music, like I hear the vocals, but I don't like really register. It may sound strange, but I don't register what's being said very much. Like, I have to actually kind of focus a lot to get what's being said, because I more hear like the sounds and the tones of the voice more than like what they're actually saying. So it didn't really, I mean, I figured, it's Tony Gilroy and they're trying to appeal to people who maybe don't necessarily watch Star Wars stuff, which is kind of what Andor is. It's like appealing to a wider audience. So I kind of figured that. And then also there's, certain political sentiments going on right now that maybe match what was going on 20 years ago when that song was made, or 21 years ago. So I felt like they were trying to kind of tap into that stuff as well to drum up, excitement for it. But overall, there's a lot of great visuals, and it was nice to kind of, I mean, it was kind of a checklist of characters. Like, yes, this person's going to be it, and this person's going to be in it, and so it was kind of nice.
Yeah, I think they definitely did a good job on the checklist of characters. And Matthew, you say something that Brother Brian had said that I want to get back to, as far as the anti-fascist, a strong message for the left, what's happening now, what was happening 20 years ago. We're going to go outside the box tonight, and we might lose a couple of subscribers in the process, but you know what? I'm willing to take that chance, because I just feel like this trailer and the Star Wars fan base, and this song has kind of set me up, and maybe watching a couple of Tom Morello interviews the last week has kind of set me up to kind of just chat openly about this. Rich, I want to get your take on the trailer, your initial watch.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun, and I think that's what trailer should be. It's just fun. And yeah, people need to stop complaining about the little stuff like that. Like, oh, it's not Star Wars music. You knew it was Star Wars, though. And the song fit well right now, as Matthew mentioned, in the political climate. It's very applicable to the way people are thinking nowadays.
Well, I think overall, isn't Rogue One kind of about that?
Yeah. And I mean, one of the coolest versions
Isn't
of
Star
the
Wars
Rogue
about
One
that?
trailer was a version where I think it was Rogue One, where they put Sabotage by Beastie Boys into the trailer for Rogue One, and it was amazing. It got me more excited for the movie. So yeah, I think it was a wise decision to put the music in there, just to kind of match the culture and kind of the mindset of a lot of the public right now.
It's funny because I see, that's a very good point you make, and I see a lot of people that were complaining about the past few Disney projects that had an agenda, that had and I'm like, okay, now they're in love with this Andor trailer, and I'm thinking, I'm just saying, I think that there's still an agenda in line. If you think or don't think that there's an agenda in line, that's fine. But what I'm saying is, I see a little bit of hypocrisy here, because the people that were complaining about the Acolyte and Ahsoka about an agenda are falling in love with this, but we see the leftist side in this Rogue One, kind of comparing it to Star Wars and what happened 20 years ago versus what's happening now vibe. I think you could say, and I'm not saying this is a negative thing, there is a statement. Let's not say agenda. There's a statement that's being made by somebody. That is how I look at it. Maybe that's not how everybody's looking at it, but I do see hypocrisy being, taking place with people going, oh, I love this song. I love this trailer. Well, you didn't love everything that came before it. Okay, I get it. But look, I am not one to ever complain about anything. Rich, when you raised your glass to Kathleen Kennedy, I understand it's a little bit of a controversial statement. You were right. She was kind of the captain of the ship that pushed all this new Star Wars. She's connected to the past, man.
Yeah.
She's
I mean, we needed.
past. It's not like she came on board, within the last 10 years. She's always been there. Just
look at her resume her resume speaks for itself before she came on Lucasfilm. The movies she produced. So that's all I'll say on that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's 100% what you guys are saying.
Brian, I'm going to lean on you a little bit for a little history here, because one of the things that we celebrate on this show is our love for music. And we have to talk a little bit about Steve Earle. I know the name. I know just and because I'm a music junkie, and just because I know the name says a lot, simply because he's been around for a long time. And you said, well, you know what? You got to know who he is simply based on, these songs. He's got ties to Nashville. He went out to Nashville long time ago. He's kind of like, I don't know, maybe the Burl Lives of Americana music. He's the guy that went to Nashville and did something.
Well, he basically, so quick history was back in the 80s when he got big and he started getting popular. We basically at my house listened to like the country radio station at home, and then at my dad's work, which was or his part-time job that he owned a record store, we'd always listen to WXRT, which was like the AAA adult oriented rock type station. And his first song that got big was Guitar Town. That was a country hit back in '86, but it caused some controversy because he has a song in it, or he has a lyric in it that just goes like, everyone always told me you won't get far with $37 and a Jap guitar. Well, they all of a sudden heard Jap guitar and they're like, oh my God, it was became controversial. So basically country music radio stopped playing them. Well, then if you've listened to those songs like Guitar Town or Devil's Right Hand, or even, I mean, Copperhead Road was his big crossover. It was a mainstream hit, but that was like pretty much the birth of, because it was still had a country feel. It had mandolins and stuff, but it also had heavy guitars. So it was pretty much, he's considered to be like the godfather of Americana, or like even like outlaw country music. And then from there, I mean, he just went with that whole rebel side, and he's got a lot of songs that deal with, you know, like going against the establishment. And I mean, he spent some time in prison and stuff like that. And he's just a masterful like storyteller as far as his music goes. So he was a guy that even when I was younger, even though he never got like mainstream appeal, he's always been that guy that like, what are the kids that like, he's your favorite musician's favorite musician type thing. So, but yeah, I only got to see him one time, but it was one of those XRT holiday concerts for the kids. It was a double bill with him and John Hyatt at the Riviera Theater in Chicago. And it was one of the greatest shows I've ever seen. So he could put on a hell of a show.
I want to say that was probably how I was familiar with the artist, because he is an XRT artist. I do want to chime in on some of these comments here. Tyler Page, we all know where he is. Well, I don't want to throw him under the bus here. I don't. You know what? Look, I know he's a big Rage Against the Machine fan. He said the music was a poor choice. Okay. So that might be from a Star Wars fan standpoint. I also want to say Ashley Wilbanks comments, that music choice sums up Disney's failure with Star Wars. Now, Ashley, was that from a political standpoint, or was that just from thinking outside the box and being different? And then, of course, Stacy, very much like me, I have yet to see the trailer. There was a clip playing, and I thought it was fan community created, so I skipped it. Again, that was a little bit of a distraction. I'm curious to know. Why is this song from 2004 tied to this trailer from 2025? I don't know. I'm curious. I would like to know. Matthew, you're probably thinking, who gives a fuck?
Exactly.
You're thinking too much into it.
20 minutes in, and we're still talking about this guy.
I think a big reason why is because they didn't want to put the Beatles on there. Like, say you want a revolution. That would
more expensive.
Yeah, more expensive.
Yeah.
You know, I'm thinking, well, if they were going to go there, like, why didn't they use a fucking Rage Against the Machine song? I would have been like,
yeah, that would have been amazing.
Take the power back.
Tyler, what you would have thought they did Rage in there.
Well, I would have been like, this is fucking great, but it's still inappropriate for a Star Wars trailer.
Hey, going back to what you were saying about the people complaining before and then not complaining about this as far as like the agenda, because I think this has always been the agenda of Star Wars, is the revolution, the fighting against the evil empire. Type thing.
There's the man right there.
Hands down, man. I mean, look, we had Padme, a very, very strong female character. That was the predecessor of Princess Leia. So we've already had the development of powerful women in Star Wars. I remember seeing Revenge of the Sith. We're going to talk a little bit about that on tonight's show, returning to the big screen. My sister always saw George Bush, you know, when Palpatine raises up his hands, I've, you know, created a new order. You know, it's like And it's funny because back then it was such a tame time versus where we're at now.
Yeah, compared to now.
You know what? I don't think we've ever gotten this fucking political. But this, I've watched too many Tom Morello interviews on YouTube this week. I tell, but Brian, you're absolutely right. It's always been the agenda. It's been the agenda since 1977. It really, really has. And I don't understand why now it is under a microscope. But if there's anything to cover that or to break that ice, it's definitely a show like Andor and Rogue One. I mean, the message there, you know. Okay, I do want to add to. We got Ashley chimes in. It could have been a Bryan Adams song, and it would still be wrong. I still believe anything Star Wars needs to live. Yes, I you know what, Ashley, I agree with you 101%. I agree. I agree with you. When I watched, I think my problem is that I watched the trailer for Andor right before I watched the trailer for Andor season 2, and I had goosebumps because they used the Force theme in Andor season 1 trailer, and it's like you got those French horns, you got that Force theme. I mean, it just wraps you in. You could be a nobody, a non-Star Wars fan, and it would grasp you in. Because if you ask anybody what their favorite song is, it's the Binary Sunset theme, also known as the Force theme. So it doesn't matter. Okay, Ashley, thank you for chiming in on that. I appreciate your feedback. Stacy says, someone at Lucasfilm says, let's get edgy. Possibly. I was at the edgiest song. I don't know. Thinking outside the norm, but as a fan, I love tradition. Yes, I think at the end of the day, that is what it comes down to. For me, a fucking music nerd, a music freak that wants to create his own videos based on rock and roll music with Star Wars imagery. I still think it was definitely a little outside the box.
And don't forget, it was the trailer too, so it's not going to be in the show.
Yeah,
that's what I was trying to explain earlier too.
I look at it like this. The fans of Star Wars are the ones that really want to see the score in the trailer. The people that aren't so much fans, they might be attracted to this other direction for the trailer. And the fans of Star Wars are already going to watch Andor Season 2. So, from that perspective, it might have been a wise decision to put non-Star Wars music.
I would like to take up a contrary position, though. I mean, like, I enjoy, obviously, John Williams' music, and, you know, I think it fits into Star Wars, and obviously it's part of what Star Wars is, but not all of the shows and have used that kind of music. Like the Mandalorian music is not, I wouldn't say that it's that similar to John Williams type music, but people didn't complain about that as much. But I think, Star Wars is expanding to where it fits into lots of different genres, which I think is something that George had wanted before he sold the company, was to let people take Star Wars in different directions, to explore different genres. And so I don't think like it should have the same music every time. Like, it's nice when it's sprinkled in here and there, but like the original Star Wars films with that music, it's about the Force and it's about the Jedi and it's about certain things. And some of these shows aren't about that. Like, this isn't about the Force. I mean, you had a little bit of Force in Rogue One with, the Wills, but this mostly isn't about that. And so I think it's nice to have a different type of music in there. And like, I didn't totally dislike the music in Andor season 1, and I really enjoyed the music in The Mandalorian and some of the other shows too. But I think just in this case, this trailer song is just so far away from the norm that it's jarring, and so it's getting people's attention more. But if you go and listen to a lot of the other shows, they don't have symphonic music like the original Star Wars necessarily all the time.
I think the thing is too is that the fact is we're talking about it. We spent half an hour talking about it.
I was just gonna say that we've been talking about this for 20 minutes.
But this is marketing. This is marketing. Now, I got to chime in with Ashley here. He says, I get that it's a trailer, but to me, it just shows that they don't know how Star Wars works. I got to tell you, my opinion on this is that it's not Disney. I think it's fucking Tony Gilroy, because he was like, everybody that knows about Star Wars, remove that from your brains. We're going to do something different here. I want to
But the
play
Yeah,
pig-
the dude isn't even that big of a Star Wars fan.
you
He's
know?
not a fan.
And to piggyback what
he also
piggyback
doesn't-
what
we
Rich
got the
said
valid
earlier,
points there,
what
too.
Rich said earlier about that this was made for other. I don't think there's a single Star Wars fan that saw this trailer and is now going like, I'm not watching it now. That's not the point. They're trying to bring in other people. No. But the thing is, though, like you said, it's not only just us. There's a lot of people talking about that. And so, like, what's that old adage? There's no such thing as bad publicity.
Yeah.
To get this out there now, it's just you take away. You know what? If the music's bothering you that much, it's not the basically the trailer is about the visuals. Just mute it. Just watch it. Put the Rogue One or Andor season 1, score on Spotify while you're listening to it, and then be like, oh, just watch what you're looking at here, and just be in awe of just how awesome it looks.
Or just wait for some unsatisfied fan to do a fan edit of the trailer.
Yeah,
Yeah, that is.
fans know best.
That is, yes, that 101%. We've already talked about that in the chat and that on the show. That is going to happen at some point. Maybe I'll be the one that does that. And for those of you that don't have the editing software available to you, just fucking turn the volume down and just turn up that fucking Force theme while you're watching the show. While you're watching the trailer, There are ways around this. Hey, we're already halfway through the show. We got a lot more to talk about. You know what? We're going to save ICC for the end, but let's talk about Rots back on the big screen. Okay, now here's the thing, and I thought about this. Brian, you've said it before about the MC5 in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Always a bridesmaid, never a bride. Attack of the Clones never got its theatrical re-release. But Phantom Menace did, Rots did, and of course,
Okay, well, the thing is though, like they've basically been doing like 20, 25. 20 it hasn't hit 25 yet, and when it was 20, it was 2022, so that was pretty much probably too close to like what was going on with the pandemic and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that they were just, I'm sure they'll probably in 2 years get a 25th anniversary on it. So
I would like, as much as that movie wasn't my favorite, I would like to see it on the big screen again. You know what I mean?
yeah,
for sure.
I mean, I don't know if I'd blame it at all on the pandemic. I mean, the anniversary of Empire, that was straight smack dab in the middle of the pandemic, and
yeah, we watched that in the fucking drive-in,
Yeah.
But I think too, those were throwback films, and I think the drive-in way was a thing during the pandemic, and I feel like those classic films fit so well on the drive-in experience.
Mhm.
And I think it really gave us something to look forward to. What? And let's be fair. Rots is a fan favorite over Attack of the Clones by a long shot. By a long
on average, yeah, I'd say 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10. I was excited to hear about this. I was not surprised. The first thing that came to my mind is I got to take my daughter to see this film because she saw the Phantom Menace in a theater, and she goes, "How does this little boy become Darth Vader?" I'm going to skip over the fucking Attack of the Clones, and I'm going to go right for the jugular here.
Well, the thing is, though, a couple weeks ago, I think Star Wars put out a presser that was basically like what they're doing this year, because not only, and this is a scary thought too, not only is it the 20th anniversary of this, it's the 10th anniversary of The Force Awakens.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's been 10 years already. So they're doing a lot of the stuff. Because don't forget, with the way that the things are, it always seems like there's going to be a 10th, 15th, like a 5-year anniversary for a film almost every year.
Yeah.
So, like next year is going to be the 10th anniversary of 2026, 10th anniversary of Rogue One.
Mhm.
So,
Right.
Yeah, I think once you start getting into the 10th anniversary, 15, 20, 25, like you're always going to have an anniversary.
Yeah.
How excited were you guys to hear about this news, and were you surprised? Matthew, I'll start with you.
Well, I just heard about it when you sent me, because I'm not on Facebook and I'm not following any kind of news. So I just heard about it tonight, and I'm excited. I want to take my daughter also because my ex-wife was pregnant with her when we went to see this movie in the theater, because my daughter's turning 20 this year as well, and so I'm excited to go take. Hopefully, she'll agree to go see it. And at the time, I mean, I was really over the moon about this movie. Like, it was my favorite for a while, like over the older movies too. I mean, now I don't feel that way anymore, but when it first came out, I just couldn't stop watching it, and I was just trying to consume everything I could about this film. And I remember when the trailer for this movie came out, they like aired it on TV, like during some kind of show that I would never ever watch, some kind of, like weeknight drama show. And I remember I stayed up and I taped it so that way I could watch the trailer, and I just watched that tape over and over and over again. I was so excited for this movie. And I remember they released the DVDs of the original trilogy for the first time while they were making this movie, and they had that like bonus, like 10 or 15 minutes, on that DVD disc about, the fight with Ewan and Hayden, and also about making the mask symmetrical for the first time. And I watched that over and over and over again too.
Cody, if I remember correctly, wasn't this one of your favorite films?
Oh yeah, this is definitely one of my favorites, especially once you have Clone Wars all under your belt too. It really improves this movie just because you get a lot more of what Anakin's thinking and a lot more of the failures of the Jedi to basically support him in what he's going through, and especially once war kicks off and the Jedi are spread really thin. So the Clone Wars really sets it up to where it lets him be the hero that he's known to be as Anakin before you see him fall to be Darth Vader in this.
Yeah, to me, like Matthew, I know you said that, maybe your love affair with this film is kind of dwindled a little bit. And you know what? I got to watch Rogue One again. But the other day, I'm like, do I really love this movie more than I love the others?
Well, I remember you used to go on Forcecast and say that this was your favorite movie. And I remember Dan Mattson telling you, like, what the hell's wrong with you? Like, the original trilogy is better.
No, I would still say that after all these years, 20 years later, yes, Revenge of the Sith is definitely still on my top 3. It's a beautiful film. I want to say, out of all the John Williams film scores, we've been talking a lot about music tonight on tonight's show. I got to say that Revenge of the Sith has probably my favorite music pieces. Rich, how did you feel about hearing about this? And where does this rank for you as far as is this in your top 3?
I don't know if it would be in my top 3, but I love the movie. I was excited. I was expecting it kind of. You kind of knew that, like, they've been doing the anniversary thing, and they did the anniversary of Jedi last year. And so I figured they were doing it this year for Revenge of the Sith. I was surprised and kind of disappointed at the timing. I mean, it would have been great if they would have done it for May the 4th. Just because that's my birthday week too, and it's always fun to go out to Chicago and see it with you guys and stuff. And
yeah, it is a little early on the release.
They did it the week, but if they would have waited one more week, it would have been May the 4th.
But how long will it be in theater?
I think it's going to be in the theaters for 3 weeks.
So it'll still be there. Oh, yeah. Well, the last time they did it, they only did 1 week for Return of the Jedi.
I thought they said 1 week.
Which was disappointing.
We'll have to wait and see, but yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm planning on going out to Chicago for the May 3rd and 4th weekend anyway. That would be like amazing to see it again with the guys.
Is it because of Celebration? I'm not up with that. Like, is Celebration in May or?
No,
that's in April. So that might be part of it. I don't know, but
yeah.
I mean, I'm not disappointed about it at all. I mean, today I was telling some of the guys in another chat, I felt like, with this in the Kathleen Kennedy news, I mean, I love surprise news Star Wars days. It brings me back to the day where Disney took over. And it was just fills my body with excitement. It's almost a nostalgic feeling. And that's what I felt like today with both of the things coming out all in one day. It's like bam, bam. It's like, all right, Star Wars news. This is awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
And yesterday too, with the trailer, no one knew.
Yeah.
It's like
so it's
overload.
those kind of days just energize me, and almost like it feels like it brings me back to a simpler time when fandom was just happy.
You know, I did read something online. ING, I believe that's a legitimate news source. They had announced that Andor season 2 is going to release 12 episodes in 4 weeks' time. Am I?
Yeah,
That was on StarWars.com press.
yeah.
Okay, so
3 episodes a week, and then there's going to be like a year jump in between all of them until it gets to the end where it leads right into Rogue One.
I do prefer that instead of it just being dragged out. I told you guys I binged Skeleton. I almost said Skeleton Key. Skeleton Crew. I binged that, and it just felt so good to kind of watch it as a film in that regard. And I do like the fact that they're going to release a lot of these Andor season 2 episodes kind of.
It's pretty much going to be, if each episode averages 40 minutes, you're going to get a 2-hour movie every week for 4 weeks.
Yeah, it's like 4 movies.
I don't believe you can have a better recipe for something that
especially because they said that each one is pretty much going to be its own encapsulated arc. So it's going to be you'll basically get. I just thought of something too when we brought up the whole Attack of the Clones maybe getting a 25th in 2027. There's another movie celebrating a 50th anniversary for Star Wars. I don't know if they'll be like competing against each other. So Attack of the Clones, I guess, is always the bridesmaid too. They're not getting anything.
Double showing. Just do double showings.
Yeah.
So is anybody planning on doing like a Andor season 1, Andor season 2, Rogue One original trilogy marathon?
You know, I would like to. Maybe you know what? Maybe I will turn that into a party here at my house.
Yeah, on the projector.
On the projector in the backyard. Yeah, compliment of Sean Hines. I'm excited about. I'm excited about this. I brought my daughter to see all the theatrical releases for the anniversaries in the last handful of years. Now the
look at that poster, man. I mean, their anniversary posters.
All the anniversary posters have been fucking gorgeous.
Empire one, the Jedi one, the Phantom. I mean, these are nothing. I mean, I love Drew Struzan stuff.
They're better than the original, right?
Who does those? Anybody know?
It was Chris Trevis posted it today. Matt something.
Okay.
I'll think.
All these anniversary posters have done these films like so much justice that they've kind of been like, okay, well, the old posters are cool, they're classics, but man, I mean, look at these fucking images. I mean, these are fantastic.
The picture reminds me of in the Mortis trilogy when Anakin sees his future and there's the Darth Vader head, very similar to that behind him.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to clarify for Christian what Mortis trilogy is.
Yeah.
Different time. Hey, I do want to thank Stacy and Ashley for tuning in. Remember, guys, claim your free link to Mocktails from the Cantina on Patreon in the YouTube description. I would love to continue to grow the community as we are getting very, very, very close to celebrating not only our 100th live show overall, but our 5th anniversary. Hey, let's talk about something.
Hey, before you go into that, I want to mention it's guy's name is Matt Ferguson. He's the guy that's done all of the anniversary posters.
Okay, so same guy has done all the posters.
Yep.
Matt Ferguson. Okay.
Yeah, he's good.
And I'm sure you can buy these posters, correct?
Well, you can. I mean, I'm sure they'll come out when they do, but this is one of the drawbacks we were talking about it on our Super Friends chat is that they always offered these posters on the Disney Movie Rewards site, which is now defunct. And Barry Harmon's like, oh yeah, you could get it on movieposters.com. And like, if you want to get the original one from Phantom Menace from a year ago, it's like $140.
Ugh.
I'm like, you know what? You just, if you're not that big of a nerd about it, just go on eBay and get like a repro of it for like $20. If you can still get the 2740 size, but I'm not. I mean, those double-sided ones are nice, but I'm not spending $140 on a poster. I'm sorry.
Well,
Unless
Brian,
it's like
I've
a signed
always-
Pink Floyd poster or something, I'm not spending that much.
Yeah, exactly. And Brian, I've always been a big fan of the way that you display your posters. Simply in that portfolio, man. I feel like I have so many posters and tubes simply because I don't have enough wall space.
Yeah.
But when you brought that portfolio over, I was like, wow, this is really cool. You look at them all that way, you know?
That's because there was a time when I was getting, I think I have, I mean, only ones that are originals are the ones from the prequel or the sequel trilogy on, but all the rest of those ones, I got like almost every single theatrical 27x40 from the prequels, the sequels, all that stuff. I mean, you saw the thing. I had like 50 some Star Wars posters in there, and it was, yeah, that thing was, now when you got to think about it, that thing weighs about like 90 pounds because it's like a 3-ring binder for posters, except for it's not 3 rings. It's like about 60 rings because there's a ring like every like half inch on that thing. Because I remember how much of a pain in the ass it was.
Yeah, it was heavy, but it was beautiful. It was almost like a portable art gallery.
Yeah.
The way you had brought that over, and then we're just able to throw it on the table and kind of show it out. Now you talk about the Super Friends podcast. I know Brother Brad and I are going to be joining you next month. People can listen to that. How so?
It's on every podcast thing. It's called So Weird, So Fun. It's just basically the guys from our chat talking about, you know, we chat about what we chat about. You know, it's the topics. A lot of the people were concerned about like, oh, you guys are talking about like a private conversation. It's like, no, we're not talking about anything you guys said. We're talking about what was said as like a topic. So basically this past week, we talked about celebrations and Star Wars Legos, and Drew Struzan, I think, got brought up, and that's about it. So it's just basically us being able to chat more in person about, you know, what it is. And this past week it's basically me and Dan Jacobitz and Ian Savage. And then every week we've had a couple people from the group on. This past week we had the Tomash twins, and then a week from this Friday it'll be you and Brad. So I'm sure we'll be talking a lot about music and other stuff that it's all, you know, we had to bring you on because Ian was every week I tend to do my Chris Mock voice about something, and then he's like, man, Chris is gonna get all pissed at you. It's like, nah, it's fine. He's one of those guys. It's like, you know how you could tell who your friends are? If you trip and fall, a good friend will be like, are you okay? A really good friend will be like, help you up, but your best friend will be like, don't you know how to walk? Like, that's how you know how good of a friend. The more you can rip on it. But if someone else was to do that, they'd be like, no, you can't do that. You're not the brother, man. You got.
Well, yeah, exactly. I'll tell you right now, if I heard you do the voice, I would be cool with that. But I've heard other people that I know do the voice, and I'm not cool with that. But I don't want to mention any names because I don't want to get myself in trouble. Speaking about getting myself not in any trouble, I did something that I'm proud of. I am bringing a good friend, Star Wars. He's not an actor. He'll tell you first and foremost, he's not an actor. Michael Brown, you guys have been supporting me for a long time. You know him because I interviewed him in the Force Within Us documentary. California native. He was also at the screening for the 10-year anniversary of the Force Within Us out in California as well. I reached out to Michael Havens. I said, look, my friend Michael Brown has not been at any convention. He's got ties to Nashville, like Steve Earle. I said, can you get him to ICC? And last year he goes, oh, man, I'm full. I got so many announcements I'm going to make. He's like, circle back with me next year. So I did. And I'm so happy that I'm bringing him to the convention. And I got to be very, very transparent, man. I am just returning a favor for a friend. I've always wondered about how the side of the business works. I've always wanted to bring people to conventions. That was how my email, Deep Space Production, was created long ago. Duffy and I were actually going to bring actors to conventions, and we never did. Never changed the email. So this is kind of like, this is 25, 30 years in the making here. And Michael has done so much for me. I said, whatever Havens is doing for you, I want you to have that. And it's just myself returning the favor for what you did for me. So his first convention appearance might be his only convention appearance. He will be performing with the Con Men. I got word from brother Glenn Nelson that Glenn and I are going to be doing his High Adventure set. It's going to be the duo of Glenn and I right before the Con Men. And then my hands are going to fucking be sore for probably a week after.
You better warm up this time, you know.
Yeah, I got to pack my ice before I beat on the fucking hand drums.
But
okay.
this is like a rare autograph for people that collect autographs. Like I know that you had Michael Brown like signing stuff like when you were doing your documentary back in, what was it, 2012 or 2011?
Yeah.
So this is like an opportunity for people to come get this autograph if they're completists, you know.
Yeah, the funny thing about this photo here, and I gotta tell Michael. So you see the guy, the Imperial officer you see him to the left, he's cut.
Mm-hmm.
That's him. So I feel like Haven's thinking, oh, we got a stormtrooper coming. No, that's him right to the left. I'm like, Michael, you got to capitalize on that. That's your fucking shot. That's your shot, you know? So I'm excited to bring him. I hope he has a great time. Cody, I know you're going. Matthew, Rich, I know you're going. Brian, here's the elephant in the room. Are you going?
No.
Oh.
You have other commitments, or are you just sitting this one out? Where do you stand with this?
Married life and doing other stuff too. So I've got to. I don't think none of us went last year, did we? That were like the Chicago guys.
It was Matthew and I. That was it.
Okay,
and Cody.
Yeah.
And Cody. Sorry, Cody. Yes, Cody.
Indianapolis is close enough.
Because it was in October or whatever.
Yeah, that's true. It was later, so
it was a very, very, very small group. Yeah, it was the four of us, and Cody.
Glenn was there too, but I know he's not Chicago.
Glenn was there. Yeah, it was. But you know what's funny? I'm keeping in mind the 2 years before we had some very, very, very large groups. I mean, we went from like 101% to probably about 8.
Well, yeah, that group 2 years ago. That was. I mean, I definitely remember I was there because that was when I got engaged.
Yes,
the hotel there. So
around the fire pit.
Yeah. Well, we were planning on doing it at the what's his face's C. Thomas Howell show when we were going there, because remember Eric was the drummer, and then they Johnny Drama had to pull out because he had COVID or something.
Yeah,
so we couldn't do it there because you, me, and Suds and Liz were going to go to it, and I was going to propose it to the set break, and that didn't happen. So I'm like, oh, we'll figure this out some way or another. So
I think it worked out better that way because you were in front of so many. You were with a lot of friends.
Yeah, that whole patio was all of the people we know. So it was fun. Cool.
All right, so you got priorities. You're not going to make this one.
No.
But as always, we're going to be reporting from ICC in Nashville. Matthew, you're going to be my right-hand man. Ashley chimes in. Does it seem that celebration attendance has dropped since Orlando?
Which Orlando?
To me,
no. Chicago was the biggest one I think they ever had, and then the last couple ones have been out of the country. So it's like, other than Anaheim, which was, I guess they said that was big for the Anaheim thing, but they're not going to have this big of a draw in Japan, or because last year we had it in England too. So
that was fun. I was there.
One in Japan, because it's been in Japan once in 2008. I did not go because like Brian, I had met my significant other, and I didn't have a priority to go spend fucking $10,000 to go to Celebration Japan. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money to go to Japan. Fuck, it's a fortune. But I remember the attendance being, Japan is kind of a niche market. I mean, it's not like Celebration Chicago. It's not like Orlando and Anaheim.
And you got to realize it's a convention on a single IP. It's the largest one there is that is for you could say like Star Wars. I remember a buddy of mine was trying to compare it to like Comic-Con. So it's like, you can't, because Comic-Con is all inclusive, or even like the anime ones or whatever. So it's a bigger market. This is for one IP and that's it. So
Stacy's saying it's $3,000, not $10,000. You know what? I got to tell you, Ashley, to answer your question, because I've been to all the United States ones, right? So I feel like Indianapolis was the bubble that bursted, and I feel like it's always been big since. I mean, I remember just lines and lines and lines at all the Star Wars celebrations. So to me, Star Wars Celebration has always been a big thing. And that it's kind of funny because I told Michael Brown, I said, look, I want you to realize that you're not going to Star Wars Celebration. You're going to Nashville. I want to paint a real picture for him. Nashville is a very intimate, hardcore fans, not a lot of lines, more of a chill atmosphere. It's kind of like seeing a show at the Fillmore or going to Woodstock, in to make an analogy that way.
Yeah, like
Wait, you thought Woodstock was small and chill?
No, Woodstock
Jesus
was
Christ,
the big
dude.
one.
Okay, I'm like, it's like how you know? I know you know that stuff. That was like
I
300,000
see
people.
is like Fillmore, like a show with the Fillmore
Okay.
before the Fillmore West, and like
Or Winterland
Celebration
or
is like
something.
Woodstock.
Yeah.
You know?
I-
Literally.
Yeah. I think, Chris, you and I were talking about this the other day, too. Like, honestly, I mean, the good thing about ICCC is that it's smaller. Like, I know some people want it to be like maybe 10,000 people or something eventually. I'm like, hell no.
Mm-mm.
They
It's
wanted to a
small.
couple of years ago when they had it at that rodeo barn place, and
Yeah.
it just seemed like I remember even going to like the big panels there. It was kind of embarrassing sometimes when we went and saw like when they had D'Onofrio there talking, and there was like a quarter full of seats, and even like when we went and saw some of the guys from I can't think of the guy's name who voiced Zeb on Rebels, but he also was in Cowboy Bebop. There was like 10 people there. And that place held like 1,000 people.
Yeah.
It seemed like, so it's like it was way too big, and they've gone back to the hotel again, right?
Yeah.
Sheraton last
This
year.
year they're at a different hotel. They're not at the same one, but I think it's comparable in size to where it's been last year and then a couple years ago.
You know, when there's something that makes me a little nervous about that, I'm like, where the fuck are we going? But, it'll be a good time. Orlando is very, very hot for conventions. And, it's funny.
Yeah, I was at
Ashley
2017 as well and 2010 in Orlando. They were both really fun though.
Well, Ashley says the last one I went to Orlando was 17-ish. Yeah, it was 17. I want to say Easter weekend 17. Man, I got to tell you, 17 was a shit show, and I still think my friend Jason for giving me a VIP pass for that, because there was a lot of Rogue One actors there, and they had Topps was in charge of the autographs and the photographs, and they had oversold. I had never seen anything like this before, and thank God I have never seen anything like this after, but they had to refund so many people that had bought autograph and photographs because they oversold. They didn't know what the fuck they were doing. And thank God I was able to get my friend's VIP pass, because I met Forrest Whitaker. I met Felicity Jones, met Riz Ahmed, because of him. And will we see Rogue One actors on their level again at Star Wars Celebration? I don't know. Diego Luna, I believe he's going to be in Japan, is he not, Brian?
Yeah, I believe he is.
I can't see him coming to the United States for a con. I think his name is just too fucking. It's like,
well, it depends on how people's careers go and how much time passes too. Like, I mean, we didn't think we'd ever see, our own Wedge Antilles at a conference either, but eventually.
Yeah, well, shit. I mean, you and McGregor even. I was like, holy crap, he's actually attending a convention 20 years later.
Yeah.
I mean, it was kind of like the white whale for so many years, and Hayden, and so you're a fan. You know what? That's the thing about us. We've been fans for a long time. My brother Rich has always said, not Rich, my brother Rob Schneider has always said, your fandom pays dividends when you've been in the game for a long time and you start meeting people that have been your white whale for all these years. So we're going to wrap up the show. Again, I want to recommend Ashley and Stacy. Thank you guys for tuning in. Grab that free 3 months Mocktails on Patreon. link in the chat. I want to thank all my producers for joining me on the show. All the brothers.
You drop our
All
names
my
off.
bro-
You drop
all
our
my
names off
brothers.
the show and you forget
Cody.
over. Yeah, you don't have our names up there now. You don't know what to
All right.
call us. It's like,
Brother Brian Klein. You can catch him on Star Wars Super Friends and all his other podcasts. Brian, I don't know how you find the fucking time, but thank you for spending
I have
Tuesday.
all the time to
with us.
do podcasting except for mocktails. I guess.
Oh, no, Tuesday. You got Tuesday. We got you
Yeah.
here on Tuesday, and we got you now. Cody Amal Wakamore. We can find you on Twitch, right? Twitch.
Yep,
Facebook?
I'm on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube, and
Okay.
Instagram. I just don't stream on Instagram.
And we can find you at ICC in Nashville. Brother Rich Brendel, you are a homer here at Mocktails from the Cantina. We will see you on the next show, and we will see you at ICC as well. And Brother Matthew Rooney, always working hard, always providing the visuals for us, and always keeping the train on the track. Matthew, we need you to announce the March show. Maybe not now, but hopefully in the morning you can do that.
Let's do it earlier, so that way. Although
let's do
this
it
was
earlier,
okay.
so it's-
Yeah,
so
you've
it's
only
not
got 3
like
days left, so
2
yeah.
fucking months. And we know if we schedule it on a Tuesday, we know we have a good chance at the Master of Pods, Brian B. Klein.
Podmaster.
Brian, before I let you go, man, how many records does your dad own? I saw somebody on the news about their record collection, and I'm like, Brian's dad's got more records than that.
I think when he said the last count was roughly around 45,000.
45,000.
Yeah, but some of it's now he's dwindling some of it, but it's I won't even tell you what the insurance value on them is. It's I'm gonna have a nice retirement. I think that's all I'll say. So
Yeah, well, even if you don't have a nice retirement, you'll have a nice retirement and you'll have a nice collection. Hopefully,
no, I've already got some stuff picked out because it's one of those weird things where we look through the collection. My brother and I brought a Pink Floyd before. My dad's got like 17 different versions of The Wall because it's like a white label promo on this, and then this release, and then it was Japan. I'm just like, why do you? Because he's a collector. He plays most of this stuff, but also it's just like looking through some of these things. It's like, holy crap!
Uh-oh.
well, I tell you what, if he has any live
Like the
at the
Academy
Fillmore-
Awards here.
I'm getting
playing the music, playing the Robert Hines music. Hey, if he's got any live at the Fillmore Records, man, I would love to acquire some of those myself. Because I only have a couple of those. So, hey, I am your host, Chris Mock. I want to thank all my Patreon members for tuning in, supporting the show, especially the producers and the people that have tuned in that are not Patreon members yet. Hey, Tyler. Hey, Will. Hey, because we always spend 7 hours together, not 10. Stacy for tuning in, and Ashley, make sure to fucking claim those free 3 months in the Mocktails description on YouTube. And we will catch you guys on another show next month. Hey, be well, be safe, and the revolution starts now. So long, everybody.